When Mat Ishbia came onto the ownership scene in early 2023, my first impression of this guy was I love this dude. This was a guy who was a walk-on at Michigan State, played for 3 seasons there, where he was on their 2000 national championship team, then went on to become the CEO of the largest mortgage company in the US at just 42 years old, accumulating a net worth of over $10 billion. And yes, I know he took over his dad's company. I already know those comments are coming, but in fairness to him and just being objective, he was their 13th employee and grew it to a $9 billion company. And watching back his opening press conference while researching this video reminded me of why he was so beloved.
I'm not the owner of the Suns and the Mercury. I'm the steward of it. My job is to do great things for the community. It's a community asset, and we're gonna do some great things, not only in the community, but with fan experience and just doing the right thing all the time. It's not Mat Ishbia, it's a team.
And look, obviously nothing has changed about his likability as a person. I mean, what he did with the Suns in-arena food menu last month, bringing back hot dogs, chips, popcorn, soda, and water for just $2 each speaks to that. He's also a young, relatable dude as a sports fan in his 40s. But when it comes to the actual basketball operations, unfortunately, he's one of those hands-on owners. One of the things that holds true across pro sports is that the best owners stay hands off of the actual sports decisions. I've gotten to experience that firsthand as a Knicks fan. Thankfully though, he's backed off since Leon Rose took over. And I guess not to a fault of his own, because look, I get it. He played college ball, he clearly loves hoops, but this is why you leave things to the pros. James Jones was on his way to being one of the best GMs we've seen in basketball recently. He was named Phoenix's GM in 2019, and in his first season as general manager, Phoenix made a dramatic improvement from 19-63 and dead last in the West all the way to a 34-39 record that was capped by 8 straight wins in the bubble. Now you can say, oh well, the Suns already had the pieces with D-Book and Mikal Bridges in place, but he did make key signings his first offseason in 2019 that led to their ascension, like bringing in Ricky Rubio and signing campaign prior to the bubble that allowed them to make that leap. You know, most of all, hired Monty Williams to be the team's head coach, who we saw immediately was able to change the culture in year 1. Then if there was any doubts, he goes on to whip up a masterclass in his second offseason in 2020, making a key trade for CP3 and signing veteran wing Jay Crowder. This led them in the 2021 and 2022 regular seasons to hoist the best record of any team in the league, where they also of course saw a finals appearance in 2021. And yes, we're ignoring what happened on May 15th of 2022. So this is to say, Jones's track record prior to 2023 was pretty flawless, and he was a respected former player who felt on the outside brought competency to the Suns organization that lacked such in the early 2010s. Then the first fucking day this dude takes over as owner, right? I just played his introductory press conference clip that was February 8th, 2023. February 9th is when they made the trade for Kevin Durant, and that was at like 3 a.m. on the 9th, so less than 24 hours after he makes his first public remarks to the Suns faithful, he trades for one of the 3 cornerstone players of this past generation of NBA basketball. And look, you're probably like, Ben, shouldn't that be celebrated? How on earth is that a bad thing? And I guess you're not wrong if you share that sentiment. Hindsight is 2020, and I get it. It's easier to look back now and crap on the move. But what I would respond with is this was just the beginning and the very first sign of a very trigger-happy owner, one of the worst traits someone in control of a sports team's operations can have. I wouldn't give him a lot of hate for this move individually being for KD, but it was a sign of things to come. And of course, we still can't dismiss this trade took away 2 of Phoenix's starters prior, and probably 2 of their 4 best players, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, where their absence is still being felt to this day. We then saw right away in the 2023 playoffs this trade of depth for a star backfire. Devon Booker put up an historic playoff run, averaged a ridiculous 34 points a game. I remember comparing him to Michael Jordan in one of my videos that I did for House of Highlights, yet they were no match for Denver. It took him and KD going nuclear for a pair of games in Phoenix games 3 and 4 for them to even pick up those 2 wins in that series. And I remember vividly after this, the talk being Phoenix needs more depth. They have maybe the best top 2 in the league in Book and KD. Just get some depth and they'll be maybe raising a banner in 2024. And they were in a great situation to accomplish that. Chris Paul's contract was going to be an expiring deal, making it very easy to trade for depth to a bottom feeder team looking to get off money. And they also had DeAndre Ayton as a trade piece. So I vividly remember the talk being they can get 3 to 4 quality role players for the 2. However, they just said that, let's double down on the star player no depth model and trade for the worst contract in the NBA, Bradley Beal. Instead of using Chris Paul's expiring deal for depth, they used it for literally the only player in the NBA with a no trade clause. Not even LeBron has a no trade clause, mind you, and Brad had 4 years left on his deal at the time of the trade. And what makes it even funnier is they actually did utilize Ayton's value for depth, and it worked out pretty good. Shocker. They got Grayson Allen from it, probably their one bright spot from last season, where he averaged 14 points a night on a league best 46% from distance. Then when the big 3 predictably failed, where it was somehow even worse than people like myself who hated the move at the time even thought it could be, Brad didn't really start playing for them until mid-December, was dealing with a back injury where he only played 3 games the first 2 months of the season. They only all played in 41 of their 82 regular season games together. And of course, come playoff time, again, Pat Bev's words, a belt-to-ass tour from Ant and the Wolves, where, man, that series is just funny. Talk about a team looking completely demoralized. The excuse this time, instead of blaming it on depth like in 2023, although that was still a talking point, was the absence of a true point guard. Book was burdened with that responsibility for them last season, and also at times Brad and Kevin, and it was clear you want someone to set up these 3 great scorers in their spots to just make their jobs easier. So this summer, their big acquisition, which by the way is solid value signing, was hitting Tyus Jones to sign a 1-year veteran minimum deal. Someone who had consistently for years been one of the best backup point guards in the league and who had held the best assist to turnover ratio in the league year in and year out. A matter of fact, Indeed had the highest in 2024 at an astonishing 7.3 ratio his lone season in DC. But there was a reason why they were able to get him on a vet minimum. Sure, he's a great offensive player, an underrated scorer actually, but his defense is just so bad that I can't go on Twitter any given night without seeing somebody complaining about it. Granted, their problems are much bigger than Tyus Jones. I mean, for starters, the big 3 just don't play together still again. And then even when they do play, they actually have a negative net rating. How do you get outscored when you have those 3 on the floor at once? So you would think all of this would have Ishbia rethinking this whole star-driven model of team building, sitting at 16-19 and 12th in the West on the outside looking in of even the play-in. But we get reminded that Matt still hasn't learned this lesson. So obviously this Jimmy Butler situation has heated up recently, the Suns being one of Butler's 4 preferred destinations according to Shams. And Brian Windhorst reports on First Take Tuesday that out of all 30 teams in the NBA, there's only one who's shown a willingness to give Jimmy Butler a max contract this summer, and you won't guess who it is.
There is only one team that is ready to pay Jimmy Butler exactly what he wants, and that is the Phoenix Suns.
You gotta be kidding me, man. How do you not learn your lesson? In a moment where, if anything, you should be thinking about trading KD and trying to reset around a 28-year-old Devon Booker, you're trying to add another aging star? You quite literally can't make this up. And not just an aging star, the type of star the Suns know all too well. Look, and I know people are gonna get triggered in the comments over this, but he's a star who's shown he doesn't have the ability, or I guess care, to lock in for an 82-game season. Sure, will Jimmy give it his all come April? Absolutely, but you need players who are gonna get you there. And a 36-year-old Jimmy Butler and 37-year-old Kevin Durant combination next season screams a play-in team, maybe even an 11 or 12 seed. So while I love Mat Ishbia, think he's a great owner who has the right intentions, seems like a great dude, have seen him do ticket giveaways on Twitter, does all the right things in the community, he's gotta stay away from basketball operations if the Suns have any plans on contending in the near future.